Friends, how you doing? It's Friday night with Stash. As usual, I go on unannounced, unprepared, but willing to receive and willing to give. So tonight's topic is the synchronicities, coincidences, dreams, intuitions, omens, gut feelings, sharing, connections, and connected events during this corona time. Don't want to really name it, maybe. Don't want to really give it that power, right? I vaguely recall Stephen King's The Stand. I don't think I read the book, to tell you the truth. I think I saw the movie with the tremendous actress Molly Ringwald. Maybe not. Maybe she's not. Sorry, that might be another one. I do recall that there was kind of a shamanic woman, African American woman, who was tied in, who was sensitive, trained naturally, perhaps, or not. About dreams in the group mind, the universal mind. Have any of you, had any coincidences during this time? Have you guys reached out, made friends with a relative or friend that you had an argument with, or made a connection to some strangers? Had any dreams that warned you? Had any dreams that helped you deal with this? Interesting stuff. I like that whole thing. What is the upside, if anything, to this type of thing? Just before I did this one, I tried to read a poem, of which I did very badly, but maybe there was an intention in it that was good. An attempt to make a connection. Very interesting. It's Good Friday. Peace to everybody who celebrates Good Friday. We just had a period of Passover, I believe, is happening. And yes, I do believe it's Good Friday right tonight. Anybody out there, give me a shout. Tell me what's going on with you. Any synchronicities? Or has your intuition been dulled by being inside, quarantined, practicing the social distancing, as we must do? Has this caused you to... Can you smile through the face mask when you got to hit up the gas station or go to the store? Everybody's under pressure, mostly the workers, but the patrons and the shoppers are under some stress too. Are you sending out good thoughts, vibrations, intentions when you can't talk through the mask? Do you smile through the mask? Have you had any good responses now to people when the daily life is more prohibitive to talking directly? Or is just everybody got fear? as the Bene Gesserit mother of Paul Atreides in Dune, his teacher and his mother said, "Fear is the mind killer." Fear. Fear is the real danger. It's times like this that we must remember the Rudyard Kipling poem, If. Ooh. Okay. Interesting. How you doing, Isaac? Good to meet you. In the daily life. Oh, like a coincidence. Right. That's what we're talking about, coincidence. So we got Isaac coming at us. That's spooky. 666. The foreboding number. The 666 building in New York City. I do confess I got a lot of negative foreboding videos on this channel. um, well, I guess, Isaac, you got to look upon that as not necessarily something negative, but that you were getting a message to give you a heads up. And sometimes things that are scary like that are something to recognize, but not let it get a hold on you. And use it for defense, if you will. But there's no doubt about it that that number is imbued with a lot of power. But and there's things happening on every level. And you just do the best you can. But yeah, have you been by that building over there in Manhattan? 666 building. Oof. And what's that show? There's a show. Oh man, it's not Empire, but it's a show like that. It's spooky. I think it was about another building. Very spooky show. There's a lot of outright, and there has been an increase in these in your face kind of achemical, hermetic. You might even say demonic or diamond. Not diamond. That's different. That demonic. That's the Greek. Television shows and art. That's always been, but it seems to be really increasing, and it's got a foreboding feeling to it. But what's a little bit more kind of upsetting is it's this stuff is seen as the norm now. There's that show where the angel fights the demon, or is it Lucifer and the angel and whatnot? Of course, that what might freak you out, and it doesn't necessarily cross cultures. But in Hindu, there's the Kali Yaga, and there's the Book of Revelation stuff, which has a hold on people. Which I'm not saying there's not something to this. There's different eschatology in the Abrahamic religions that takes hold of people. I had mentioned that sleeper is awakened thing. I was thinking of that. I was talking to somebody tonight about that. In Dune, Paul Atreides, the sleeper has awakened. that movie has I think it's the Bene Jesuits or the Jesuits or something, and a different order, and then it's probably more or less lifted from Islamic eschatology because it's a desert war. I have a YouTube thing on here about Iraq, Iraq and Afghanistan, or Iraq as Dune. I thought it was pretty good. Nobody really liked it. um, I, I I slipped in a bunch of pictures of Dune, the original movie. There's a newer one, not that one, and in the Iraq War, the A-10 aircraft coming in, and then the different troops, and then the Harkonnens, and Paul Atreides, and Sean Young, and he goes through the trials. Fear is the mind killer. Puts his hand in a pain box, and he but to be fair, even though these are very scary times, every decade and almost every year there's somebody who says this is the end. As far as I know, Christ said my interpretation is he says to beware of such things, as compelling as they are. And St. Augustine wrote City of God because people at that time were so obsessed with the end, and as it was against the, I believe it was also in but again, Isaac, interesting. The 666 is coming up for you. It's not that it's an eating of the apple or something forbidden, and prayer, and that you usually do probably to check it out. I see no harm with that. Examine the numbers, examine the dreams, but that's interesting. And that was last year. That's some intuition there. Suppresses that side, the spiritual. I've been interested at this time in discovering in science, in belief and spirituality as complementing one another. I don't personally see that the two have to always be in conflict. But I'm not a fan of the effing love science phrase. I as an answer to everything, I F word love science everything. I am science AF. I don't think that. Not to mention the locust in Africa going on now. Earthquakes in Idaho, or earthquakes in China. Access to everything real or semi-real time. It's interesting to see people's interpretation of this time period is completely opposed to one another, 100%. And I don't see too many people reaching out to their brothers in this time period, which is disturbing. And yet they're saying there is, but I don't know. It's a macabre thing. It's a very serious situation. There's loss of life going on, but it would be a lie to say that this thing is to my point of view, 100% political. Anybody else out there? Isaac, you still out there, man? It's Friday night. Is this going to be a new thing? We're all just going to get on platforms like this YouTube and go, is anybody out there? Come in my cube. I got to do one on that. That's like bordering maybe on weird and sometimes dark, but the Saturn. I made some cool YouTubes of Saturn, all this Saturn stuff. They go so far as to say every single religion is Saturn. I don't know, but the whole cube. There's some really interesting ones about this cube, Saturnian religion. I don't know if I agree with everything he says, whatever, but there's no question that I forget his name. Is it Jordan Peterson? It's not the philosophical guy. He's somewhat like David Icke. Jordan Maxwell. Sorry, he goes into the Saturnian thing, and no doubt, even the most atheistic scientist or whatever has freaked out by some of the Cassini satellite photographs of the hexagram and below in the north, and both I believe the north and southern poles of Saturn. That's fantastic. I mean, it's creepy. There's a 200-mile-an-hour storm around this huge thing. I think that the distance around it is as big as our Earth or something like that, or in that ballpark. And they got a good picture of it, and it's creepy. There's been other people that have written that in more ancient times, that was the sky. That was the view of the sky that the ancients saw, the hexagram-like structure. And it is true that the ancients worshipped the planets. Many people, in a sense, still do. There are many people who are adherents to astrology to this very day that give it much more than lip service, and that's from the planets, or Chaldean. It's originally from the Chaldean people. If you go in New York City to the train station, there's an incredibly ornate zodiac right there in the train station. And Washington, D.C. has the most of them, but there's a lot in New York. One in the old Boston Public Library. I think it's in the old part of it. And obviously, again, in DC, I think it's in the some of the big Masonic lodges throughout there. And the Washington D.C. was founded on a time that they thought to be the right time, the Draco constellation, a time of power, I believe. There's a great book on that. I'll leave it in the liner notes if I can remember. Washington is designed, every inch of it. I think Manly P. Hall, the Masonic historian and occultist, in his secret teachings through the ages goes into it. He also goes into the formation of the American flag, was done by mystery men, allegedly. A guy that knew about diet and esoteric things. There's also a wild story about how the the colonists, were debating as to whether to confront the crown, England, Great Britain. They were debating about it, and as he says, they were being kind of shy about it, and this mystery man, very tall, strong-looking guy, and a great orator appeared and really gave it to them, really gave them a firing speech, and they go, "What are you doing? Go for it. Rebel against the crown, gentlemen." And they were kind of on the fence, and he allegedly pushed him. Then the man disappeared. I am very interested in that stuff. Isaac, man, as you see, one of these weird YouTubes I was having kind of a vibration things about the Dante Alighieri's poem, and of which we've no doubt that we get an artistic version of Inferno, hell, Hades of the Roman and Greek, sorry. Whereby the poet Virgil escorts the author through the different rings of hell. Of course, it's artistic, so it's a certain amount of aesthetic, and there's some, Gustav Doré, some very aesthetic, dare I say, beautiful, strangely, Gothic-like pictures of hell, which is not really beautiful, but it's art. And I was really thinking about that. I was thinking about Beatrice, the angel, and Lucia, Santa Lucia, and Beatrice. I believe they warn, they help the poet, and he comes to the gate, and at the entrance, abandon all hope, ye who enter here. And there's a gate guardian. And the other strange videos that I have before this, I was talking about Corazon and the very controversial occultist and British spy Aleister Crowley confronted Corazon. So the poet and Virgil confront the gatekeeper, and they go in, and they cross the circles of hell. And I was very much thinking about this. And I had forgotten or didn't know that they had a Dan Brown novel and book, and movie starring Tom Hanks about this. And weirdly, the synchronicity that I had connected to that movie is that I had been fixated on the upside down Medusa statue. There's an upside down Medusa statue that I was thinking about. I had seen it in the Atlas Obscura. Forgive me if I'm pronouncing it right. Obscura Atlas thing. I don't know. This thing. The thing. So it's really ornate, and I was thinking about that picture. And so, of course, movies simplify, and they have to go to places and make it dramatic. So he's in Venice, and he tells about how that word quarantine comes from the Venetian era, as they had an early form of globalization. The ships carried within the plague, so they had to stay docked for 40 days to make sure that the crews were no longer infected. And the doctor, the Harvard symbolist, played by Hanks, says that's where the name quarantine is derived from. Sorry if there's some spoiler alerts in here, but I was shocked, because we're talking about coincidences, although very minor coincidence that he they go to the sunken kingdom. Forgive me if I don't have the word right, but they go there, and it's great. They're having a conference there, and they make the water blood red. And what a scene! Dan Brown is brilliant in that he knows how to break down these complex things and make them digestible to the public, kind of like Michael Crichton did. I kind of read a lot, or I used to read a lot, so so you're like, wow, big deal. The movies are, if you read books and stuff, movies are always a little bit of letdown, or sometimes you get more excited about them, or you think, shoot, I should have thought of that, or you should just shut up and enjoy it, right? But the Sunken Kingdom, the Medusa head figures there. And it's perhaps forbidden to talk about it, but it has been discussed by legitimate scientists and people about the fact of bioweaponry, and I think China has already accused the United States of this. They accused the United States Army. And the Americans, I don't know if the Americans yet have accused China of out-and-out bioweaponry attack, but they certainly have brought up negligence in hiding as I recall, the initial stages was they were keen to show the bats, and they had a Chinese reporter, and then she was eating the bats soup itself, and then she came back on and apologized for doing so. That seemed to be all strange to me. Everybody takes these events as they will. Anybody else have any synchronicities during this time? I might make one of these ones that you watch another night. It's my understanding. Shout out to everybody who works for YouTube. You guys are short-staffed. Sorry about making this a long video. Anybody who worked for YouTube have any synchronicities? Come on. Has anybody had any premonitions about what the next thing about? Are we looking at after this one? Are we due for a cyber attack thing? Natural disasters. How many movies have had the plot that are somewhat similar to these circumstances that people love? People love zombie movies. Maybe because they're so afraid of it, they get the makeup on and have zombie parties. I thought personally the first Resident Evil and the second Resident Evil with her name escapes me. The fantastic actress with the Slavic name. In any case, 1 and 2 were incredible. I think a lot of people liked Jill Valentine just as much as the lead actress in that. The third one was pretty good too, out in the desert. It's kind of a Vegas thing. Ramble, ramble. If anybody from Turkey out there, have you been to that sunken city? Have you been to the Hagia Sophia? One of the most incredible. Once Constantinople, the Byzantine Empire. Now Turkish, an Islamic site now, Islamic mosque. I've never been there. Oh, I wish I have been. Someday. There's some Skyfall. Daniel Craig, the incredible chase in that. Another good movie that it's in is the International with Clive Owen about BCCI Bank. Fantastic. He goes through a chase in that too. But I think the cinematography was probably better in the Bond. Synchronicities, coincidences, dreams. Anybody out there? What about the name of the new Bond movie coming right now? Is it Time to Die? Good Time to Die? Theme song, Billie Eilish. She's in the video that with her wings. Is she an angel or is she a Luciferian? Certainly a compelling singer. She's got this black blood stuff coming out, and she sprouts the wings. She's intense. The hoodie thing. She's something new. I could open up for her. Interesting. We better get by at 33 minutes. We can't have 33 minutes, can we? Good Friday. What's everybody watching and looking into? Give me some links. So I think I will end now, and I'm going to probably do one of these ones for correctly. I'll announce it for a future date. Do you think it's bad to talk about coincidences? Maybe that's just baloney. Synchronicity, serendipity, tapping into the quantum field. Are they increasing? Do people need to familiarize with these things because things are getting a little bit too technological, if you know what I mean? Elon Musk said it's already too late. I think tomorrow night I'm going to talk about that stuff. Technology. We love it. We hate it. All right. Isaac Torres, my friend, thanks for checking in with me and sharing. And I'm going to make this a future dated one properly. And hopefully people can put in the comment fields different ideas about what I attempted to discuss tonight. All right. God bless everybody. Take care. Good wishes. May the chi be with you. Happy Good Friday. And yeah. Okay. Have a good night, guys. Take care.